L2 regularization is also called as ridge regression, and L1 is called as lasso regression. Sorry, not regression. Yeah, it's a regression. So just like in a linear regression, this is one more kind, but the concept of regularization remains same. Maybe they have named it like lasso and ridge, but the concept of regularization, we can use it in other networks as well. Okay, so let's go into what is this regularization concepts. Okay, so let me write what exactly this regularization is. Before that, what I'll do is let me recall what we have done in linear regression. Let me go, do this, apply this regularization on this linear regression what we have done. So on this, as I told, this is to reduce overfitting. So let's create an overfitting scenario here. Okay, so let me again come with the same example where you have only 2 data points. Okay, so these 2 data points, and for new points are like something like this. Okay, so what will happen here is for in case of linear regression, where your loss function is something like this, it is 1 by n sigma 1 by 2n, that doesn't matter. So whatever it can be. So if you recall it from last classes, we have seen y actual minus y prediction, where this is what we have, I guess. Okay, so with this loss function, what you do is for these points, you will get perfect straight line most of the cases, because there are only 2 points in this case. But even this case is again valid for many data points. Okay, like if they have like more data points as well, this case is valid. So for this, you got a line where your training error is almost 0, and your testing error, because you have a large various testing points, is high. So this is your loss function. So let's take this thing. Okay, so next what will happen is, this is overfitting scenario. So what you do is like in case of a regularization, so what you will be doing is this what exactly is causing this overfitting is, even let me do one more thing here. So I can also take a like more complex example. So let's do this way. Okay, so these are the 3 points what we have. So then what will happen? You will if in case of overfitting, you do it like this, right? So you may actually have like theta naught plus theta 1 x plus theta 2 x square plus x cube, and you will still have something like this and overfit your example. Okay, so this is a scenario. Okay, now how can we reduce it? So this is done because actually, in case if your variation of your theta, let me do one thing. Like if your theta is varying so much, means if you take like linear regression, so not just like theta naught plus theta 1x, so it is similar to mx plus c, right? When this is your slope, like which will vary according, if your m value is low, it will be here. M value is high, it will be somewhere here, it will be steep. And if your slope is less, means m is less, then it will be here. So it is something similar to it. If your theta value is high, then actually it will increase suddenly. Okay, if your theta value is low, it is increased slowly. Okay, so that is the same thing here. So in case if your values are like this, okay, so if it is too slow, okay, this is a scenario. And let me call like one more scenario where you got something like this. So which do you think is better than, in these 3? So surely this, right? So instead of this is better, right? Let me write it with a different color. because here if you see for these two data points, it is doing very good. For the new test set point, what you have is very higher. So this is because like you are having a steep slope. Okay, so your slope of your line is so steep. So suddenly if it is varying something like this, so this actually is mostly overfitting. Okay, and if it is smoothly varying, then this slope is quite less, and you can say that this is not overfitting. That is what we have seen in kind of examples here, right? If you jump to last class scenario, yeah, if you see here, for overfitting, your slope has changed like so high. Suddenly it starts changing. Okay, high, low, this way, this way, this way, this way. It will actually, if your theta values are large, okay, so it will actually very high. It is being like this way, this way, this way, right? So this actually, your theta values are large, you will get this kind of scenario. So one intention behind doing this is like in case if you have some not so steeper curve, then actually you can say if you take this thing, okay, so you can say that your model, it may not be overfitting. Okay, so that is one kind of pattern which we can observe. So with that, what we can say is if we reduce theta values, implies overfitting reduces. This is what is implied. Like from this, we can take this kind of implication, right? So if it is suddenly varying, it means then take the same example here. So you have values here. So it is doing fitting for each of the things. Okay, if it is suddenly varying here. So, but even though it is suddenly varying, so in these two graphs, what I have drawn now, case one, case two. So which do you think is better? Okay, in these two, is this better or this better? So can any one of you tell it? In this first and second graphs which I have drawn here, okay. So which one of these are better?
Better in the sense maybe second one, but
Second
one
one.
is a
Yes, right. So it's not maybe, it's actually second one, because first one is doing very well in training error, but it will surely fail in testing error. In testing data set, like it will surely fail because it is just memorizing what training data it has, and it has connected all those, right? But in case of training error, in the second case, what is doing is it has actually identified some pattern. It has generalized it. Okay, so because of which it, even though your training error is not zero, still it will do good. You can have confidence on it. Like in first case, it is just like it has memorized the training data. So what actually it would have happened is, it's like in a class, like if you have what teacher tells, like you have if teacher asks question on the same concept, like you will be able to tell, but in exam you will fail because like you don't know if some question is like slightly changed, you won't be able to tell. So such kind of scenario is this. So first one, it is directly memorizing, which is like overfitting. So in the second case, it is generalizing. So these data points, it is taking some pattern like this. Okay, so it is actually learned. Okay, the second case is much better. So from this, what we can say is your theta value, if it is not varying, okay, then if it is less, if it is steepness, your slope is less, then actually you can say that that is not overfitting. So for that case, what we'll do is we'll reduce the theta value. But in case you have a loss function to do it, right? So why will you reduce it by yourself? So 1 by m or 2n. I think it is 1 by 2n. Previously, I have written 2 by n, right? 1 by 2n sigma y actual minus y prediction. Okay. So this is loss function earlier, right? So let me also, this is 1 by 2. So taking this, but this already, because of this loss function, we do this gradient descent, theta nu equal to theta old plus minus 2, sorry, why this 2 is coming all minus alpha d L by d theta, right? So this is what we have as a gradient descent. But with this, we are able to follow, right? So why again, how can we reduce theta even further? So that we can do it by adding some term here to the loss function, which I'll call it like lambda into theta square. Okay. So using this new value, what we are saying is this, we call it like regularization term. So what this will actually do is, so if loss, right? So if your loss is more, what will happen? This will impact your theta, right? So if your loss is varying more, then your theta value will reduce, right? Sorry, actually you will find your theta value such that your loss is less, right? So that is what it will do in the gradient descent. Gradient descent will find theta such that loss is minimum. But now what you have done, you have added an extra term here with theta square, lambda into theta square, right? So plus some function which we already have. So because of this, what will happen? So let's say take this as loss function, right? So to minimize this, so I want to decrease this, okay? So to decrease this loss, what we should be doing? This theta should be less, right? So if you take this, this loss is actually, so if you take this one, so what we are doing is loss some term plus we are adding this theta square here, okay? So for we have to reduce this loss here. So for reducing this loss, what should happen? This theta square value will should be reduced, right? So it means theta value will be reduced. Okay. So that reduction, it will be taken care by this gradient descent. We don't have to do it manually, but so sorry. So taking this scenario, so what we are trying to do is, so for reducing L, we have it should the theta square value should be reduced, right? So for theta square value should be reduced, theta value should be small. Okay, this is clear. If you can see, if your theta value is like something like point, sorry, like if it is 10, okay, so then your theta square is 100. So then your loss function will be somewhere plus this term is also there, right? Let us say like 150. Okay, so now let me do one thing. Now I have reduced theta to 1. So your theta square will be 1 as so okay, let me do it 2. So here it will be 4, and your loss value will be something like let us say 50 plus the what is there in that bracket. Let us say it is 50. 50 plus 4, it will be 54. So it has drastically reduced, right? So your gradient descent, what it will try to do is it will try to reduce this theta. Okay, so with this we have actually achieved, by doing this we are able to actually achieve this thing. What is this thing? Like we are able to reduce the theta value as we are thinking. So that will imply as we are able to reduce theta value implies overfitting reduces. Okay, so this is how regularization will help to reduce the theta. Okay, so but I have to spoke here like L1, L2, 2 regularization. So what is the difference over there is, let me, so L2 regularization is what I have showed you over there. So there is something like L2 norm where it is like theta square. Okay, so it is like root over theta 1 square plus theta 2 square plus theta 3 square, so on. How many thetas are there, right? So all square. So this is what L2 norm. So we call it like L2 norm here. So what we are doing, L2 square. So which would be theta 1 square plus theta 2 square plus theta 3 square plus so on. Okay, instead of theta here, you should be writing theta naught here. Okay, so similarly, if it is L1 regularization, there is L1 norm, which we call it like this. So which is just root over. It's not root over, just this thing. So theta 1 mod of theta 2 plus mod of theta 3, so on. This actually is like absolute values. It will only add the absolute values. This is called L1 norm. This is L2 norm. Okay. So take these two examples. So what we'll do is, for L1 regularization, your loss function will be your, let me write the whole thing, 1 by 2n sigma y actual minus y prediction square plus lambda into, not theta 2, we write it like this. Okay, so this is L2 regularization. So if it is L1 regularization, this all will be same. Then here it will be L1 regularization. Okay, so I think you won't have a square over there. I'm not sure. I think you won't. So this is L1 regularization. Okay, there is a copy. It would have been better. Okay, so this is L1 and this is L2. So when we use what? So there are like these two, right? You can't use both always. Like when we'll use what is. So what is this difference between this L1 and L2 regularization? Is actually something like this. So I'm not going in depth at this level. So if I'll point out to some links like where these are explained clearly. But like what I'll tell is, so this L1, L2 regularization will anyway minimize theta. This is there. Okay, and what it will do is, it will minimize theta values mainly for unwanted folds. So if you take this point, okay, so let's take this case. So where if your theta value, let's say you have a loss function, okay, let's do it that way, then it will be very clear. So you have x1, x2, x3, x4, and you have written maybe 100, 200, you have data points. Okay, so in this, you know that like these two are unwanted features, let us say, and you have to remove these two features, but you don't want to do it manually because you can't do feature engineering always, right? So then what will happen is, so variation in your theta value, okay, theta naught plus theta 1 x1 plus theta 2 x2 plus theta 3 x3 plus theta 4 x4. So this is your y, right? So in this, actually only these are contributing, these two are not contributing to your output. Okay, let's take that, because these two are useless. So then your loss function, maybe this is there and theta square is there, right? So in this, theta square is actually, let me call it like this, theta 1 square plus theta 2 square, theta 3 square plus theta 4 square. So in this, like in case if you, because these two are useless actually to our case, but still this is causing some loss function here. Okay, so algorithm will automatically detect that these two, even though if it is minimized to 0, it would still be fine. Means you won't have like much loss, you won't have much problem with your prediction, still you will be able to what you say achieve a kind of a minimum loss function. Okay, so that is possible. So for that, what you will do is you these values will come closer to 0 in L2. L2 unwanted features theta 3 comma theta 4 values will come closely to 0. It won't go to 0 most of the cases, but in L1 what will happen is, this is the beauty with L1, where all the unwanted features, means in this case it is theta 3 comma theta 4 will be equal to 0. So you don't have to worry about those values. The your gradient descent will, because you have used this regularization, so that will go directly to 0. This can be done like while we implement it, you can observe this thing. We can see that. So what will happen is, using this L1 norm, actually your unwanted feature values will be removed automatically. You don't have to do feature engineering again for this, even though without feature engineering you will be able to remove, in the sense, if you are making theta 3 and theta 4 as 0, it means your y is like theta naught plus theta 1 x1 plus theta 2 x2, right? Because these two are zeros. Theta 3, theta 4, those are zeros. So you won't have that. Your model, actually the complexity has been reduced, right? So this is the kind of advantage you will be getting by using this linear regularization. So in this, what is this lambda, which we did not talk about this, right? So we have seen the effect. What is this lambda? So lambda is a regularization parameter. So because if you give this value high, actually it will concentrate more on your theta. Okay, it will try to make most of them as towards 0. So if you lambda value is high, okay, then your loss term is some value plus let me write as r MSC. Let me write as MSC plus lambda theta square. Okay, so if you take this, if your lambda value is very high, okay, so even though if a small variation in this doesn't matter, because this is very high, so your loss function is almost equal to your lambda theta square. Okay, so then what will happen? For reduction of your loss, this theta value will be reduced. Okay, so this is how it will happen. So you are doing like so much regularization on it. When your theta value is low, almost equal to 0, then what will happen? It is MSC plus 0, right? So then this regularization almost is like negligible, right? It not almost, if it is 0, then it is completely negligible. It will try to only minimize this mean square error, and it will ignore that making theta values towards 0. So this may kind of overfit. We are giving a chance for it to overfit. But if theta value is very high, what it will happen is, sorry, not lambda value is very high, it will try to make theta towards 0. So what we again have is an optimum value again, because this will make completely 0. So what we do is, we'll take lambda equal to 1, some 2, 5, some 3, 4 values like this, maybe 10. Okay, so then you will train model for each of them with these loss functions, and you will see which is the best one, and you will take that. Okay, that is how like finally it is done. But you increase, like what you will also do is, you will see if it is overfitting or underfitting by increasing your lambda or decreasing lambda. So we have come to one more point. If your lambda value increases, then overfitting, let's jump back to that part. Okay, so we have, okay, if lambda value increases, then what will happen? Overfitting is no chance. Okay, but if it is like complete very high values, okay, then what will happen is, if your lambda, let's write this one, lambda value is very high, this will, there is a chance for overfitting as well, very high. Very high means like, then what will happen is, your thetas will be almost zeros. Okay, So even though your data points are something like this, so maybe like this, like this, like this. So but your theta point is flat because like, your thetas are almost zero, right? Theta naught plus theta 1 x plus theta 2 x square, all these are almost zeros. So you will have only the straight line, something horizontal line. So this is also bad. Okay. So okay. So similarly, let's also see when your theta lambda value is low, very low, maybe zero. Okay. So then what happens? There is a chance for overfitting and even underfitting won't happen. Okay, so this is a case. So what we do is this we have discussed, right? Till now, like this is like almost if it is zero means without regularization. So this is a chance. So we take some value in middle. So and that value we'll explore it by doing some kind of experiment and then find out which is actually doing good. Okay, so this is one more concept because this is about regularization.